You know, the decision to become an activist as well as an actress really formed in the year 2000. I don't know how many of you remember this, but we were really frightened that all the computers were going to go awry. Y2K, oh, it's going to be chaos. There was a general sense of fear. And I remember thinking, why? There's got to be a future. I had children by now. And on the millennial New Year's Eve, I was an actress on a hit show playing a hippie mom on Dharma. I pretty much could have wangled an invitation to anything, anywhere. But Larry and I decided to go to the Nevada nuclear test site where a bunch of faith activists and Shoshone elders were going to do a prayer vigil at the Nevada nuclear desert test site in hopes of abolishing nuclear war in this millennium. And we prayed, and then we walked with candles, and we crossed the line into the facility, which is when you get arrested. And right after you get arrested by the U.S. government, the Shoshone elders give you a paper going, this is Shoshone land, and they can't arrest you. And the federal government has never wanted to adjudicate that. So essentially, we were penned up for about 5 hours, and then we were set free. But it was prayer in the pen, prayer before we went, and prayer in the walk as the vigil. And that confirmed me. We were prepared by a little class in nonviolence by a woman named Rosemary Lynch, who was a Franciscan nun. And what she taught about nonviolent activism, that seminar committed me forever, because she said that in her long witness at the Nevada nuclear desert test site at the gates, the military man in charge, probably a general, would drive in and out and in and out, and he would talk to her, and she would share her faith with him, and he would share his faith with her. And this went on for months and years. And then one day he called her to his office and he said, I'm resigning because you've convinced me. I can no longer do this job in conscience, and I've asked to be reassigned, and I want to thank you. And that's it. That's what Gandhi said. Nonviolence isn't defeating your enemy or killing your enemy. It's converting your enemy. Not by pushing, not by demanding, not by saying convert to me or else, but just by your own actions. Something happens to the other person who sees you as a witness to the truth. And then they go, I have to do my own witness to the truth, whatever that is. In that particular case, it was just one person. I'm sure someone else took the job running that facility. But it's a slow realization that nuclear weaponry is suicide. And nonviolent activism is to wake us up to that reality and turn us towards nurturing each other so we can maintain the human experiment on this planet as I think the creator of this planet might have wanted it. After this experience at the Nevada Desert Test Site, and was still in Dharma and Greg, but I said to my husband, I have to study nonviolence. There is a voice inside me saying, now go study nonviolence. Well, it turns out that the man, Dr. King, called the teacher in this book, David Halberstam, The Children. James Lawson taught these college students in Tennessee civil disobedience, nonviolence, so they could sit at the lunch counters. James Lawson was a Los Angeles-based Methodist minister, and he taught nonviolence once a month on Saturday mornings in his Holman Methodist Church downtown. So we went and took classes from Reverend James Lawson, and I remember I used a leather notebook Thomas Gibson had given me one Christmas, Dharma and Greg, and I thought of Thomas every time that I made my notes. And that gave me a real background in nonviolence so that I understood how to behave and how to think and how to act if I wanted to be a political activist. I'll never forget one woman standing up and saying to the whole class that she had been arguing about the war, in this case the bombing of Afghanistan after 9/11, and she was telling her workmate how against it she was, and they were having a big argument, and somehow, she said, she convinced him that she was right, and he left kind of seething in frustration because he couldn't meet her arguments. And she said the upshot of that for her was, I've learned that convincing someone else that I am right and they are wrong can be a violent act. It's not the best way to go about things, to have that kind of one-on-one argument if what you want to do is win people over your position. That's nonviolence in a nutshell. It's really about bearing witness with your own life as best you can. We're all flawed, but it is a lifelong attempt.